Grüezi, welcome back. We're now on to chapter 13 of The Fairy Caravan by Beatrix Potter. The homestead of Codlin Croft was dominated by Charles, our cock, a silver campine with handsome white neck hackles, finely barred, unspotted breast, and a magnificent tail. He also had a big red comb and spurs. Besides Charles, there was a turkey cock of larger size, and a sow still larger, and a cat and 3 farm dogs. Charles treated them all alike with contempt. When the caravan arrived in the lane, Charles and the turkey were having one of their usual combats. Charles was dancing round and chirtling, cluck, cur, cluck, cuck, cuck, jumping and spurring at bubbly jocks, painfully red wattles and tassels. The turkey was bursting with rage. He scrunched the tip of his wings along the gravel, which spoilt nothing but his own feathers. Whenever he got a chance, he trod heavily upon the spot where Charles had recently stood. Charles, in the meantime, had darted between the turkey's legs. When Charles became short of breath, he slipped nimbly through the narrow bars of an iron gate and pretended to be picking up titbits in full view of the maddened turkey cock, who was unable to follow him. Then he scratched up the dirt and crowed. Charles and Sandy never hit it off very well. They both had a habit of scratching up the earth, and they mutually irritated one another. But all the same, Charles graciously did the honours of Codlin Croft and invited the company into the orchard through a broken gate. The orchard, which gives Codlin Croft Farm its name, is a long, rambling strip of ground, with old bent pear trees and apple trees that bear ripe little summer pears in August and sweet codlin apples in September. At the end, nearest to the buildings, there are clothes props, hen coops, tubs, troughs, old oddments, and pigsties that adjourn the calf hulls and cow byres. The back window of the farmhouse look out nearly level with the orchard grass. Little back windows of diamond panes not made to open. The far end of the orchard is a neglected, pretty wilderness, with mossy old trees, elder bushes, and long grass, handy for a pet lamb or two in spring and for calves in summer. At this time of year, a north country April, the pear blossom was out and the early apple blossoms was budding. The snowdrops that had been a sheet of white as the linen sheets bleaching in the drying green, had passed, and now there were daffodils in hundreds. Not the big bunchy tame ones that we call butter and eggs, but the little wild daffodils that dance in the wind. Through the broken gate at the top of Codlin Croft orchard came Pony Billy with the caravan. He drew it up comfortably in shelter of Farmer Hodgson's haystack, which stood foursquare and prosperous, half in the orchard and half in a field. "Only, Jenny Ferret, if I put the caravan here, you must promise not to light a fire. We must not burn Farmer Hodgson's hay for him." "And how will I boil the kettle without a fire?" "Take us further down the orchard, near the well, behind the boar-tree bushes." "All right," agreed Pony Billy, pulling into the collar himself. "Perhaps it would be safer. I can come up to the stack by myself for a bite." "Cluck, cur, cluck, cluck," said Charles. "I recommend the flat places between the pigsty and the maidenstead." "Yes, indeed, cluck, cluck. There are lots of worms if you scratch up the manure," clucked Selina Pickercorn. "Are they going to put up a tent?" asked the calves. "Oh, yes, lots of nice red worms," clucked Tappy Tory and Clucky Partly. "What's that funny old woman they call Jenny Ferret? She's got whiskers," asked an inquisitive cat sitting on the roof of the pigsty. "Quack, quack, stretch your long neck and peep in at the windows, dilly duckling." "I cannot see, quack, quack. I cannot see anything through these curtains." "Gobble, gobble, gobble," shouted the turkey cock, strutting after Charles. Sandy curled his tail tightly. Go further down, beyond the boar tree bushes, Pony William, further away from the farmyard. When the caravan had been drawn into position, it became necessary for Sandy to do a large, loud, determined barking all round in order to disperse the poultry. After pitching camp in the orchard, Pony Billy and Sandy held an anxious consultation. Did you notice anything while we were coming through the wood? Yes, pig's trotter marks. How many times did we go round and round the hill, Pony Billy? We would be going round it yet if I had not gone widdershins. What shall we do about Paddy Pig? I am going back to fetch him. What? Into Pringle Wood? Yes, said Pony Billy. But first I want a saddle and bridle, and look whether my packet of fern seeds is safe, for I shall have to go amongst the big folk in broad daylight. Pony Billy borrowed several things, by permission of the farm dogs, Roy, Bobs and Matt, who were laying lazily in the sun before the stable door. He asked for the loan of a nosebag containing chopped hay, straw, and a tobacco, also for 2 pounds of potatoes and a saddle and bridle, and for the chest strap with brass ornaments belonging to the cart harness. There were 4 brass lockets on the strap, a swan, a galloping horse, a Catherine wheel, and a crescent. The last named is a charm that has been worn by English horses since the days of the Crusaders. The strap was too long. It swung between his knees, but Pony Billy felt fortified and valiant. Do you think you'll be chased? Asked the dogs. I shall not. I am going to the smithy to have my shoes turned back to front. Our mare Margaret is at the smithy, said Bobs. You will have to go past the back door and the wash house if you want potatoes, said Matt. Nobody can see me, said Pony Billy. He clattered across the flags, bold in possession of fern seeds and invisibility. Mrs. Hodgson, inside the house, called to her maidservant. Look out at the door, Grace. Is that the master I hear coming home with the mare? I hear summat, but I see naught, answered Grace, perplexed. Pony Billy started on his quest. The farm dogs went to sleep again in the sun. Sandy, with his tail uncurled, trailed back disconsolately to the orchard camp. The ducks and calves had wandered away, but Charles and his inquisitive hens were still in close attendance and conversing endlessly. Conversation was about losing things. Zarifra's scissors were missing. Jenny Ferret, as usual, suspected Icky Shepster, the starling. He was not present to deny the charge. He had flown off foraging with sparrows. Losses, said Charles sententiously. Losses occur in the best regulated establishments. Likewise fines, but fines are less frequent and therefore more noteworthy. One afternoon, I and my hens were promenading in the meadow. I hear Tappy Tory, that bird of the rose comb, clucking loudly in the ash pit. I inquired of Selina Pickercorn whether Tappy Tory had laid an egg. Selina replied that it seemed improbable, as Tappy Tory had already laid one that morning in the hen-house. But hens are fools enough to do anything. I ordered Selina to proceed to the ash pit to ask Tappy Tory whether she had laid a second egg or not. When one hen runs, all the other hens run too, being idiots. Cluck, cur, cur, cluck. Oh, Charles, remonstrated Selina, and clucked partly coyly. Aggravating idiots, repeated Charles, who did not believe in encouraging pride amongst his female poultry. As the whole of my hens continued to cluck in the ash pit in total disregard for my commands to come out, I stalked across the field and looked in. I said, What are you doing, Tappy Tory? You are a perfect sweep. Selina Pickercorn, you're equally dirty. Clucky Doody, you're even worse. Come out of the ash pit. They replied, all clucking together, Oh, Charles, do look what a treasure we have found. But none of us know how to stick it on, because it has no safety pin. They showed me Miss Hodgson's big Cairngorm brooch that had been missing for a fortnight. They asked me if it was worth £100. Cock-a-doodle-doo. £100 indeed. said Charles, swelling with scorn. I told them it was absolutely worthless to us, who wear no collars, not worth so much as one grain of wheat. Cluck, cur, cuck, cuck, cuck. Hens always want noodles, and always will be. Ask them to tell you the tale of Demira Sugar. That, said Selina Pickercorn, quite unabashed. Oh, that happened long ago, when we were inexperienced young pullets. Beside, it was all along of the parrot. Explain to us the responsibility of the parrot, said Sandy. 5 or 6 hens all commenced to cluck at once. Charles interjected cockadoodles. Consequently, their explanation became somewhat mixed. Therefore, it must be understood that this story, like the corn in their crops, is a digest. Danke. Thank you for coming today. Hopefully we'll get the next chapter out next week. See you then. Auf Wiedersehen.